What's a sensation that you're unsure if other people experience? Sometimes I feel like I'm not me. It's tough to explain, but I know mentally and consciously I am me, but that my actual body is not mine and I'm just along for the ride. Sometimes I'm feeling mute, as in I have an innate desire not to talk or think in sentences. I'm just looking around, taking in impressions and listening, all without actively thinking about it. Though at some point the spell breaks and I'm back to normal. I also sometimes randomly flinch. I don't know if there's something that triggers it and I can't help it. It's like a reflex. Also I got that from time to time that a part of my upper leg muscles twitches for a minute. So maybe my nervous system is just a bit broken. When I yawn or turn my neck quick, a blood vessel or tendon or something in me neck twitches and almost goes into a strange cramp spasm thing. It's the freaking worst. And for me, afterward this uncomfortable warmth spreads through my neck and the base of my skull. Ugh. 4 or 5 times in my life I had this sensation of time speeding up and sensations of touch and sound get more intense. It's weird. I have the opposite. Time seems to slow down for me out of nowhere. It's most apparent when I'm listening to music, because it suddenly starts sounding like someone put it on half speed. Started happening a few years ago and it still freaks me out. Literally feeling tired all the time, independent of how much I sleep, eat, or exercise. I always feel like I need to go back to bed and I haven't honestly felt awake in 3+ years. When you wake up it felt like you were awake the entire time dreaming, not lucid dreaming, more like you were awake in your dream but you didn't know that you were dreaming. Used to happen to me a lot in college. I would fall asleep reading and in my dream I was still reading. It was so disappointing to wake up and realize I hadn't read anything. That random jet of saliva that shoots out from under my tongue when yawning or moving my jaw in different positions. It don't happen every time and I can't control it, but I wonder if this happens to anyone else. It's called gleeking. Probably not a technical term, haha, and I was both the bane and the hero of 7th grade because I taught myself to do it on command. Now that I'm in my 30s this talent is so underappreciated. When I'm laying on my bed, regardless if I'm on my back or stomach, I'll sometimes feel like I'm hanging upside down and floating up for several seconds, as if gravity just inverted. It's really weird and I like it. I have no idea what triggers it though and it just happens randomly. I feel that too, like if you lost balance and sense of space for a moment, and your head spins but at the same time, it doesn't. Sometimes I have, for lack of a better term, the sound of a very vocal crowd in my head. The more tired and stressed out I get, the harder it is to hear my own thoughts over the sound of what I assume is my subconscious. The voices, tend to jeer a lot and have a lot of negative reactions but I can never make out what they are saying. It's just a loud rush of humanity. I too have an itty bitty crappy committee in my head. When I get one really dry spot in the back of my mouth, and drinking water won't make it go away, the rest of my mouth is fine. Just that one little spot slightly right off center about where my wisdom teeth are feels like sandpaper at random intervals. I get this only further back in my throat and up toward my sinuses. When I see something gory and cringy in a real life way, I get this weird sensation running along my outer thighs and it's super uncomfortable. Also a weird melancholy that happens in my stomach around supper time on a fall Sunday or something. It feels kind of like sadness, hunger, arousal, and a foggy sense of doom. Sometimes I can't take too deep a breath without feeling a sharp pain somewhere inside my rib cage, usually a bit below my heart. It's a rare occurrence but I've been experiencing it for years. When it happens, I have to control my breathing so I don't inhale too much. It typically goes away after a few minutes. So I have finally found my people. I hear music in my head very often. Not like that song that just played on the radio, but stuff I've never heard and that as far as I know doesn't exist. And most the time when I try to put that into the real world, I lose it immediately upon hearing sound. So frick you, crappy butt brain. I get that too. It makes me feel like I'm the next Mozart, because it's beautiful and 100% original. Except I can never capture it. As soon as I try to concentrate it evaporates. At random moments throughout the day, a little piece of a past dream you've had, even ones you think you don't remember, pops into your head as if it was triggered by something you saw in real life. When your eyes suddenly shake, like you're looking from left to right multiple times rapidly, it's disorienting when it happens, but it doesn't affect me for more than a few seconds. I can make that happen at will. It never occurred on random. Double deja vu. Feeling like you've seen something before and then immediately after feeling like you've experienced deja vu about that thing before. This is the only kind of deja vu I've had recently. The feeling that I don't belong here, that I need to go do something else, somewhere else. I feel it just in the center of my chest, like there's a pull. It's a feeling of other, and of importance that's just past my grasp. Oh man, I get this. At its worst, I don't even feel like I belong on the planet or am a member of humanity, but usually it's a more mild sense that I need to be elsewhere. I'm struggling with it right now. One of these days, I'm going to end up selling my house and just taking off to some random place somewhere. When I clean out my ears, it causes me to cough gag to the point of almost vomiting. I'm super envious people who enjoy cleaning out their ears. Finally a place to type this. Some days I feel further back in my head than usual. That's literally the only way I can describe it. Like everything is farther away. Sense of where I am is further back. Everything. It's really weird. And it probably means I'm dying of something. Whenever I have a fever, everything that I hold in my hands feels absolutely massive. I'll be holding a water glass that I've held a million times before, and it'll feel like I can barely get my hands around it. I've never experienced it myself, but I've definitely heard of people experiencing this during fever. It's also mentioned in Comfortably Numb. My hands felt just like two balloons. In crowded places I often hear my name called out. I'll look around and it's not as if my name wasn't said to someone of the same name. I guess I'm just hearing voices? I have a name with a loud A sound in it. Happens to me a lot. A rapid shooting pain in my head for 1 second at random points on the back of my head. It's enough to make me jolt up, and then it's gone. It's called an ice pick migraine and I get these too. Except mine last anywhere from 3 to 30 seconds. And I have to stop whatever I'm doing because it hurts so bad. Luckily they only happen once a week or so. I hesitated to post this, but I'm genuinely curious if other women have experienced this. The vagina tingle. I have no idea where it comes from or why it happens, but sometimes just in the middle of my day, doesn't matter what I'm doing, I experience a really intense itch. Except it's not itchy. I really don't know how to explain it, but I imagine it's just my vagina saying, hey, I'm here just so you know, and I have to stop what I'm doing to calm myself down. Yep, when I was a teen in high school I couldn't tell if it was inside or on the outside, but it was annoying and intense. Well, at my last yearly checkup they did the pap and scrapped up in there. Felt that feeling again. So it's my cervix randomly feeling something. WTF. Random really sharp stabbing pains in my armpits. It feels like I'm trying to sweat out 1,000 knives all at once and then it's gone. Something in your deodorant could be irritating you, or if your shirts are too tight and constantly rubbing under there, that could cause an issue. When you learn something new for the first time and then it just shows up somewhere completely different sometime in the next couple days and rarely ever shows up later. Learn some obscure word no one ever uses. Hear it 2 days later in a passing conversation. Never hear it after. Hear about some obscure foreign myth. Hear it mentioned on TV a few hours later. Learn an alternate, essentially unused, definition of a word, then hear it used in that context the following week. I don't understand this phenomenon. It's some combination of big number theory and a psychological trick. It really fricks with my head. Makes me feel like an experiment and I'm being toyed with. I mention this to people all the time, and no one has understood what I'm talking about. It happens to me all the time. I call them earthquakes, where I'm sitting still, and all of a sudden for a few seconds the whole world starts shaking or whirling around me and returns to normal right after. It's all in my head, but sometimes I'll find myself leaning to one side or another when things sort themselves out. Also, sometimes when I'm concentrating on something my eyes will shake all over the place and I'll lose focus on what I'm looking at. But this only happens for less than a second, and once everything returns to normal and I'll keep doing what I was doing. What I call rolling deja vu, where you feel like you've done something before, but you sort of feel like you know what is going to happen next. I've had it last half a minute before. Sometimes things align to my predictions in a slight way, but never fully. Rolling deja vu for me is a side effect of my anxiety, where I usually predict things to go immediately south for the worst. It never happens. Example, I've been here before. Jeff walked in the room. He commented on the football game. Anxiety kicks in, and then he says I'm fired on the spot. Sometimes, when I am falling asleep, I will wake up and have the feeling that I just visited an entirely different life. One thing I noticed that happened recently and seemed a bit odd was, instead of getting a song stuck in my head, I had a word stuck in my head. I think this has happened a few times before and it's a strange feeling. I'll just continuously say this word in my head whenever I'm not focusing on something else. I don't think there's anything that I doubt anyone else in the world feels, but one feeling I get that seems to be relatively rare. I really enjoy the effect that a moderate fever has on my muscles. I dislike most aspects of being sick for obvious reasons. I don't like chills and hot flashes. I don't like runny noses and headaches, sneezing and coughing, nausea, the list goes on. But, specifically, the way my muscles feel when I have a fever, that's fantastic. It's like every time I sit down or turn over or anything like that, I'm being massaged by the furniture I'm in. Yes, my thighs getting sore is my usual first hint that I'm getting sick. It's a different kind of soreness than typical overuse. It's hard to describe, but I don't hate it. IDK how to explain it, but I sometimes see some places, my living room, my grandma's kitchen, in two completely different perspectives, not at the same time. But the different perspectives make it feel like it's a different place. IDK it's like I see the layout of the room house in a different point of view. I guess it's kind of like the first time you go to, say, a friend's house for the first time. You kind of discover this house for the first time, but after several times at the house it becomes normal. I guess sometimes my mind reverts back to a time when the place was still new to me, and I see it in that old first time perspective. I can induce this. It's fun to perceive my surroundings in the new way, and it's almost exactly what you're describing. I call it tourist mode. I can smell when people are sick. It's hard to describe, but it's like this musty and moist smell that I think is from excess mucus. I only really smell it when I'm sick. Others are really sick, and mostly is confined to respiratory illnesses like bronchitis and colds. I can't watch videos where people get hurt anymore because I feel a very real, visceral pain in my testicles when I see someone get genuinely hurt on film. Doesn't happen in movies, just things like fail compilations and the like. I feel that, but not on my testicles as I'm a woman. But every time I watch someone get hurt it's like I can feel what they felt. It's weird. Every now and then, regardless of temperature, I'll shiver shake really hard for a split second. Never known why. I have that sudden shivering from time to time, too. My mom then just casually says, "Someone just walked over your grave," which I find both intriguing and terrifying. When I am really tired I have auditory hallucinations. Sometimes voices, but usually musical instruments, and at times just random swells of white noise. People saying stuff that is slow and dramatic that would cause everyone in the room to become silent with shock. Except it's in my head and I can't understand what the voices are saying. It's like inaudible or muffled. I can't explain it. Basically like randomly getting the feeling that someone dropped a bombshell like I'm pregnant or something out of nowhere, but IDK what the voice said. It's weird to me that I've never experienced this, yet I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about. Whenever I hear a sound or imagine a feeling I don't like, it irritates my teeth. Like running your nails the opposite way on a short hair couch, eating a popsicle and having your tongue rub on the wooden stick. When I stand up after sitting for a long time and a black cloud blocks and distorts my vision for a couple seconds, and I get kinda dizzy and lightheaded for a few seconds. I should probably see a doctor. Well, I thought it happened to everyone. It happens to me, and I've seen a lot of people feeling it when they stand up too fast. Peppermint butt. That's what my BF and I call it. I have GI issues and take peppermint extract in capsule form. You know when you eat a lot of Taco Bell and get fire butt when you crap? Well, pep butt is the opposite. That makes you feel like someone put a Listerine strip in your butt. If I think really hard in my head about life and how I'm real and actually living, I get this strange dizzy feeling, almost like a disconnect from my body. If it's completely dark, the very bottom of my vision will sometimes look faintly brighter, like there's light seeping up from the bottom of my eye sockets. I don't know why. While I can't remember which type of cell it is, rod or cone, you have more of the monochromatic light intensified detecting cells in your peripheral. I've noticed that in near total darkness, I can't read something unless I look to the side of it so that the text is offset from the center of my vision. I have synesthesia, so having people's words typed out for me visually as I listen to them speak. Sometimes I miss spoken words if I don't know how to spell them. I get this weird, yet pleasurable, tingling in my dong if I twirl something in my hands or fingers. Twirl a baton, instant tingle. Things that look like tiny clear worms on your eyes. You can see lens flares in them, and if you move your eyeballs, you can't move them. They trail the direction you move your eyes. Often when you look up, you can't move them up and then they will slide back down really slowly because of gravity. If you blink, sometimes they go away and another pattern forms. Other times, blinking moves them but won't make them go away. I have never been able to get anyone else to understand what I mean by this, so here's hoping this thread will do it. Totally normal. I forget the technical term, but they are caused by little variations in the gel fluid in your eyeballs. More common as you get older, and if they suddenly get much worse it can be a symptom of a problem, so if that happens, see an eye doctor right away. Sometimes my brain goes into overdrive and it feels like my brain is going really fast and my body is going super slow. I have a few weird things about me. Can't imagine words, only the things they represent. Deja vu about very specific situations that happens almost daily, but by far this is the weirdest. I was in 7th grade and I remember really enjoying the year. I was having a lot of fun and later in the year met some great friends. I learned a lot and first learned my love for ancient history. One evening in May I went to bed early because I felt incredibly tired. I woke up the next morning and got ready for school. I walked outside and the temperature was at least 30 degrees colder than what it was the day before. I was very confused. It was only when I got to school that I found out the date was November 1st. I had dreamt months of my life. The friends I made in my dream world didn't actually exist, but almost every lesson I learned was exactly as it was in the dream. Made the school year way easier. This has never happened to me since, but the memories of it are still very fresh in my mind. During the dream I had no idea I was dreaming and everything felt real. I even remember having dreams most nights I went to bed in my dream. Post this in Glitch in the Matrix. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.